Highway New York class is 71,594. Highway New York class for the West Cove Mountain Bridge is 592,866. And the Highway New York class reserve fund is 151,163. The total highway monies are 1,715,636. For a grand total of 5,184,723. I got something to say here. I'm sure many of you have seen what is going on in the news today. And over the past month, there's been emails circulated and today a news article published on my experiences with my former employee. I spent 15 dedicated years there as a department head and gave my best effort to meet the expectations of the people of the town. I spent my entire life helping others when the opportunity presented itself without regard to race or status. No one who knows me can truthfully say they've ever heard me make a racist statement or slur because it does not happen. Those who know me will tell you this is not in my character. Many people in town have known me since I was a child. I invite any of our residents to schedule to meet with me if you have any concerns you'd like answered. And of this I'm certain, none of this would have occurred had I not been elected councilor. Appreciate your support. So that brings us to the board member reports. Councilman Welch.
Yeah, I've been reviewing the towns and the zoning, in preparation for a meeting with our attorney in executive session, to the attorney-client meeting.
Okay. Councilman Harrington.
Yes, I've been trying to set up a maintenance schedule for various vehicles and also for our buildings, so that we don't run into the same problem that we've had at the beginning of this term, where we needed to spend so much money on roads, roofs, and vehicles, simply because the problem wasn't addressed in the past.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Durham.
Been reviewing a lot of the items that you guys all mentioned. I'm gonna also use my time to read a letter from the Unionville Library trustees. Dear town board members, I see budget amendments on this agenda for this evening. The trustees are concerned that it would be a vote to reduce our budget. We feel it is important for the residents of the town of Unionville to know if the town board were to approve this reduction, it would be considered retaliatory against the library. As previously mentioned, the trustees have requested in writing publicly a number of times for the town board to transfer the library funds to the library bank account. In the absence of a response, the trustees were forced to file a lawsuit because the supervisor did not comply with the request to turn over the library money, although he was advised to do so by the town attorney and as required by law. We hope the town board will reconsider the request by the trustees to transfer the total funds allocated to the library as previously requested. Sincerely, the Unionville Library Trustee.
Councilman McGivney.
Been working with Peter down at the recycling center, talking about some things we can change around down there to make the center flow a little bit better. I'm sure there'll be more about that coming up in the future. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Town clerk report.
Now our annual document training day schedule is set for Wednesday, June 4th, and that's a very popular day. It's probably there for 1 hour, but I don't know the hour until it's brought actually before lunch. So the way it works is you can call town hall and you can get our call list. And also obviously knowing the day to report you can put the schedules and then get ready to leave the house with your documents. In the past, we've been basically able to accommodate everyone's boxes regardless of size, but we try to limit to 4, but if you want to bring more and leave, that's fine. Lastly, April is fishing license month, so if you would like your New York State license or if you need us to check if you need to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to do a follow-up to my report. We have signed up for a text messaging service. And there are currently three different departments that are on this service. One being our recycling center. The QR code for that service is posted on the office there. And recreation is setting one up as well. And do we have it in place for town hall here? We're working on putting it in place for town hall as well. But that would work for subscribers. If you had subscribed to the service, we could notify you in a bulk text message that, of the time that Andrew just mentioned. And in respect with recreation and the recycle center, it is for last minute schedule changes due to weather conditions or such, any kind of failures that might happen in that case. So you can take a look for that going forward. That brings us to highway department.
Hey, the highway department been, we've been working on putting the plow trucks away, hopefully it's not prematurely. Getting them ready for hopefully not next time. I believe the bids are out for the new salt shed. I'm sure that, the supervisor will let us know how that's going. Highview Road, the guys we have a drainage issue going down the middle of the road on the north side. So the guys are digging the middle of the road up and installing under drain in the road through the ditches. I've done my 284 form, which I gave everybody's got a copy of that for approvals. 5-year plan. We may have to deviate from that a little bit to accommodate form drainage on Jennifer Hill and resurfacing, which is also explained on the I only have 2 bids. I can go for a third if you want. I just need to know which direction the board wants.
This is on which project?
Jennifer Hill.
That's probably gonna have to be a public bid. I would think unless we use Clove in the same manner
I
we
got a
did.
bid from Clove and another competitor, and they're quite a ways off on price.
Okay, we'll look at it. If we go the bid route, it would have to go to a full-fledged public bid process,
Right.
which
So you'd have to, the lawyer would have to write up for a document.
as well as the engineer and the time involved in it and such. If Clove is on the county bid list again,
Yeah, they are.
yeah, that would shorten that. We'll have to look at your comparison.
It's quite a
Significant.
bit of money
Okay.
difference.
Yeah, amazing the difference.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, well, I want to thank your crew there for what they've done through the winter. I know we had some long extended storms and they stayed at it.
Yeah. Let's hope it's really over.
Yeah.
Snow for Sunday. Right.
Okay, recreation department.
I first just want to thank all of those who joined us for our annual TVPT St. Patrick's Day party on March 7th. Seats are already starting to fill up for our dates during the local elementary schools time off for spring break. That's going to be April 14th to the 18th. Registration for these dates can be found on our Parks and Recreation website. Volunteer hours for egg stuffing for the Egg Hunt for All event is officially scheduled for Saturday, April 5th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be right here in Town Hall. Volunteers can come help for any amount of time. This is a great opportunity for students and adults looking for volunteer hours for school, clubs, or just to be a part of helping the community. We ask that volunteers please register on our Parks and Rec website. That way we can keep them up to date on any important changes leading up to the day via our email listserv. And if you require a signature on any paperwork for a club or school or anything like that, please bring it with you on that day so we can get that done first thing. And then our team's just chugging away at getting summer camp prep done, and just working on the pool stuff as well. We hope to have the swim lesson, information as well as general pool hours up by the end of this month. Thank you.
Here. Okay, we have nothing from Parks Department. The Parks Manager is out on sick leave at the moment. Town Councilman Welsh, would you mind reading the animal control?
Certainly. Animal control report for February 2025. During the month of February, there were 2 found dogs. Respectfully submitted, Mary Jean Calvi, LD2.
Okay, thank you. Public comment on agenda item, anyone?
Funding for 11 Grove Sport. I'm here to talk about the budget amendment that is under old business. So a couple things that I wanted to bring up, from my research, and maybe I could be incorrect, under town law, section 62, article 8, section 109, once a budget is finalized, those funds are appropriated to those departments. And once those funds are appropriated to a department, they need to stay in that department until after a year when the funds are not spent. That they can be reappropriated to the departments. Second thing I wanted to bring up is that a lot of these budget amendments seem to be going to personnel, which I'm assuming is going to raises that were proposed in the budget by the supervisor at the last budget meeting back in 2024. What's interesting about that is in the organizational meeting in January, all of the salaries that were approved in the budget for 2025 were approved unanimously by this board. So if there are problems with salaries for employees in the town, that should have been brought up at the organizational meeting in January, which it wasn't. So it's interesting that a lot of these are going towards raises that were not brought up, but were unanimously approved by this town board. One of the other things that has been brought up over the years is the below minimum wage for counselors. Just so we're all aware, that's 5 cents an hour. That's below minimum wage, which I think can easily be adjusted by taking money out of the general fund. I'm sure it's actually not that much when you look at the hours of that. And the other part that's interesting is that this town was served with a lawsuit January in Thursday of last week by the trustees of the library for protecting their fiduciary duty. And then within less than a week, there was a resolution to remove funding from the library. The crux of the lawsuit from the library is that their funds were not transferred to them. That was voted on by the town board last year. So I think in a case for a town that's in the middle of a lawsuit, to then take another $67,000 from somebody who's already saying you took their money, is probably not a good step for the town to do. It's not very defensible in a lawsuit that has nothing on that is in the works and is not and is currently being. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah. So Wesley Joseph, Richmond Road. Since the supervisor brought up, these issues that have been going around in emails and,
Excuse me, that's not on the agenda tonight.
it was in your
It's
report.
not on the
So that's
agenda.
an agenda item.
It's not an agenda item. And it's not up for discussion.
Bring it up at 13.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Anyone else?
Yes, please. My name's Darren Sampson, by 99 Walsh Road. So I did look back at the budget, and I looked at the budget that was approved. And I looked at the difference between the budget that was approved and the budget that was put forward by the supervisor. And there was 3 categories of changes in there. It was about $79,000 in salary increases for town employees that was removed. And my view, there was a couple of comments in that. One was that the proposal to remove that money was based upon an assumption that employees didn't need the raises, or that they were willing to work for almost as voluntary. If you look at that $79,000, where did that money go? $77,000 went to the library. How can we afford to pay money to the library that is voted down by the taxpayers? And we take $79,000 away from hardworking employees. Our responsibilities in this town is to run the town. To run the town, we need capable employees, and we need employees that are well paid to retain them. So that's my first thing on the budget. The second was that there was $36,000 that was taken away from the code enforcement officer to be able to bridge out over to retirement and continue to do code enforcement. So that was the second part that was taken away. And then the third was a bunch of miscellaneous areas around legal fees, project management fees and things like that. That's perfectly fine to take that away. If you want to take that away and move that into the projects themselves, no issue with that. But taking away from the people and taking away from code enforcement was an error. And what happened was at that meeting was that the supervisor has proposed the budget in October. And it belonged to each of the departments and asked the departments for their input. All of those departments gave input, and you heard a number of them come here, recreation, code enforcement, the court, other departments that came here and have since complained politely about losing their funding. That was taken away in an 11-hour play in December of proposing a budget. And only one board member besides the supervisor stood up and said, this is not rational to be able to review and approve a budget that was put in front of us minutes earlier. And that's those summary right there. You can see it yourself. Go out to the website, look at the budget that was out there. The original proposed budget in October, the budget that was revised from the supervisor based on time inputs, and then the budget that was, in my view, slammed in at the 11th hour. Right, so that's what happened.
Thank you. Thank you. You folks, please refrain from your applause. Anyone else? Then, brings us to new business. We have the resolution here for our home rule request, which is the next stage in having the cell tower adoption being approved. Councilman Harrington, would you like to read that?
Yeah, there, is that the one that has Town of Unionville, Town Board Resolution number 24 of 2025. Resolution authorizing home rule request to authorize the town of Unionville to alienate and discontinue use of certain parkland. Whereas the town board of the town of Unionville believes that leasing space on town land for telecommunication purposes would enhance the general prosperity and economic welfare of the residents of town of Unionville. And whereas the town desires to alienate and discontinue the use of certain parklands and lease at fair market value to Homeland Towers LLC for a term not to exceed 40 years for the purpose of operating a radio transmission tower facility. And whereas the lands to be alienated consist of approximately 0.12 acre parcel to be leased for the tower placement and approximate 0.129 parcel for an easement to provide access to the tower, which are described in detail and annexed hereto and made part hereof. And whereas the request has been forwarded to the New York State Assembly and the New York State Senate. And whereas pursuant to Assembly Bill A08297 and Senate Bill S5224, the proposed legislation has been submitted to the State of New York Legislature for the purposes of adopting the enabling legislation to permit the town of Unionville to alienate and discontinue the use of certain parklands and lease at fair market value to Homeland Towers LLC for a term not to exceed 40 years for the purpose of operating a radio transmission tower facility, copies of which are annexed hereto and made a part hereof. And whereas the revenues generated from said leasing would be used solely for the acquisition of new parklands and or towards capital improvements to existing parkland and recreational facilities. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1. The recitations above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. 2. The town board of the town of Unionville hereby issues this home rule request effective March 19th, 2025 in support and passage of Assembly Bill A08297 and Senate Bill S5224.
That page.
3. The town clerk is hereby authorized to transmit a home rule request form and a certified copy of this resolution to the Home Rule Council of the New York State Legislature requesting the introduction and adoption of the aforementioned bill.
Okay, can we get a second on that?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Get a roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That brings us to our attorney-client meeting. We need to step across the hall for a few minutes. And we'll be able to turn shortly. Motion to move into attorney-client.
So.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That they can cover the expenses that are very soon upcoming. And I will read the resolution. Whereas the town board of the town of Unionville previously authorized the establishment of municipal public library by resolution number 31-2022. In consequence thereof, a provisional charter was granted by the New York State Education Department on or about July 15th, 2024. And whereas the town of Unionville Public Library has not yet been registered as a public library by the New York State Education Department. Whereas the town clerk of the town of Unionville on or about July 31st, 2024 received a petition of the qualified voters pursuant to the Education Law 268 to place the question of abolishing the town of Unionville Library on the November 5th, 2024 election ballot. And whereas with the assistance of the attorney of the town certified the ballot proposition and filed the same with the Dutchess County Board of Elections on or about August 5th, 2024. And whereas the Dutchess County Board of Elections on or about December 5th, 2024, certified the November 5th, 2024 election results in which the voters of town of Unionville voted not to own and operate a public library. And whereas the town board adopted the 2025 town budget by motion at the November 2024 regular meeting, and whereas the town board at the same meeting on November 2024 approved multiple last-minute budget amendments to provide additional funds to the town of Unionville Public Library in derogation of the vote of the town of Unionville electorate. And whereas in order to provide additional funds for the library, the town board also defunded budget lines, reducing certain operating budgets below levels sufficient to meet the town's obligations for calendar year 2025. And whereas reducing budget lines below what is necessary to meet current obligations is not permitted under the law. And whereas the town board has no authority to invalidate, ignore, or bypass the certified election of the results on the ballot proposition. And whereas the town board now desires to amend the budget to restore monies required to meet its obligations for calendar year 2025 and to comply with the vote of the electorate not to own and operate the town of Unionville Public Library. Now, therefore, be it resolved as follows. The recitations above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board of the town of Unionville hereby amends the 2025 adopted budget as follows. We're going to make an increase to budget line A.1310.1 finance personnel, 11,955. An increase to A.3120.1 constable personnel of 10,050. An increase of 7,110.1. Oh, I'm sorry, this is budget line 8.1711.0 .1 rather, parks, an increase of 11,710. Budget line A.7020.1 recreation personnel, an increase of 7,440. A.7141.1 summer camps personnel, an increase of 25,938 for a total increase of $67,093. There'll be a decrease to line A.7410.4 library contractual of the same amount, $67,093. The town board of the town of Unionville, in making the above budget amendments, has left sufficient funds in the library lines for it to meet its 2025 obligations, based upon prior year spending and to wind up the affairs of the library. A roll call vote on that, please. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, second on that.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Or any discussion, we're still there.
I think that the library also has obligations, okay? And this effectively will defund the library to the point where the library can't operate legally. The libraries have to have a certain per capita spending, and that's where that budget line is set. 227.9 is based on per capita, $50 per capita. This will reduce that below that per capita that's required by the state and effectively make the library illegal or in violation of the provisional charter.
Well, I'll follow that up with, a few meetings ago, the treasurer of the library came in and gave us a report and clearly stated that they don't need much more than $150,000 in their budget lines.
It has to be budgeted.
So, roll call vote on that, please.
Hold on.
Nope.
I think this is exactly what the town of Unionville residents wanted when they voted on the proposition by voting 2/3. Thank you.
Well, I'm just being clear on basically what is going on. This is a loosely veiled resolution to abolish the library.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It will have that effect, but this is a resolution to restore the budget to where it should have been before some improper changes were made, and we're making these budget amendments on the advice of town council.
So a motion has been made and seconded. Will you get a roll call vote, please?
Aye.
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 No,
Okay, thank you very much. Resolution to hire the maintenance or parks helper. Councilman Durlin, would you mind reading that one, please?
what number is that?
It's gonna be 20. 26 now, right? Because we just did 25.
26.
Yeah.
All right, Town of Unionville, Town Board Resolution number 26 of 2025, a resolution hiring maintenance helper for the Parks Department. Whereas the Town of Unionville has a need for a maintenance helper for the Parks Department, and whereas the position of maintenance helper is a non-competitive position pursuant to the rules for the classified civil service of Dutchess County, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Unionville has determined it necessary and appropriate to hire a maintenance helper for the Parks Department. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. One, the resuscitations above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. Two, the town board of the town of Unionville hereby hires Michael D'Amelio to the position of maintenance helper at a salary of $22 per hour, 40 hours per week. Three, Michael D'Amelio's salary will be paid from the Parks personnel budget line number A.7110.1. Fourth, the town board hereby authorizes and directs the town supervisor and the town bookkeeper to file any and all documentation necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution.
Got a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. This brings us to the resolution for the trucks, the parks truck replacement. Councilman Gideon.
27th, yes. Town of Unionville, Town Board Resolution 27 of 2025. Resolution authorizing the purchase of a dump truck for Parks Department. Whereas the Town of Unionville Parks Department is in need of a new dump truck, and whereas the Town Supervisor, with the assistance of the New York State Office of General Services, NYS OGS, obtained 4 state bids for 1 Class 6 chassis with dump body and equivalent. Whereas the Town Supervisor has reviewed the bids and has determined that the lowest responsible bidder for a 2025 Ford F600 XL dump truck or equivalent is Metro Ford Sales Inc. in the amount of $100,232. Now, therefore, be it resolved as follows: the solicitations above are set forth and incorporated in this resolution and is fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the Town Supervisor is hereby authorized to purchase a 2025 Ford F600 XL dump truck for the total sum of $100,232, as set forth in the New York State OGS mini bid from Metro Ford Sales Inc. with a copy of which is annexed here 2. 3, the Town Supervisor is authorized and directed to execute any documentation necessary to register the title of the new dump truck, and that's truly this resolution. 4, the Town Supervisor is directed to submit purchase order for the purchase of the new dump truck. 5, this resolution is effective immediately.
Okay, a second on that?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Yes.
Okay, thank you. Brings us to the final resolution here, the website design. I had sent you all links to the company that has given us the proposal. I guess back to me again to read.
Well, I didn't,
Oh, you didn't? Okay, all right.
okay, Town of Uniondale, resolution number 27 of 2025. 28, resolution authorizing contract for Town of Unionville website redesign and hosting services. Whereas the Town of Unionville maintains a website which requires frequent updates to provide the most current information to the town residents and other interested persons. And whereas the Town of Unionville does not currently have staff available with the technical expertise to design and maintain the website, and whereas the Town Board received a proposal from Cirrus Digital Technology LLC for the redesign and hosting of a new website, and whereas the services to be provided by Cirrus Digital Technology LLC constitute professional services which are exempt from the bidding requirements under General Municipal Law number 103, in the Town of Unionville's procurement policy, and whereas the Town Board determines that it is in the best interest of the town to enter into a contract with Cirrus Digital Technology LLC, the website redesign and hosting services. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations as set forth are incorporated in this resolution and it is fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the Town Board of the Town of Unionville hereby authorizes a contract with Cirrus Digital Technology LLC for website redesign and hosting services. 3, the Town Board hereby authorizes and directs the payment for such services to be paid from
I didn't get that information, please, I'm sorry.
appropriate budget line in accordance with the proposed annex hereto. And 4, the Town Board hereby authorizes the Town Supervisor to execute the contract for website redesign and hosting services after review by the attorney to the town and in accordance with the annexed proposal.
Second on that?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Yes.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to public comment on town issues. Anyone?
So I apologize for jumping the gun before.
As I think
Yeah,
probably.
give me your name and address again, please.
Oh, yes, Wesley Joseph, Lissaman Road. So I'm sure some of you, saw the article that was published in the Times Union this morning. Where the town board of Wappinger, fired Supervisor Frazier from his job with that town, for making, violent and threatening, statements to his supervisory employees, as well as using, racist language, in their hearing. I have no independent way of knowing if this is true or not.
Correct.
That is correct. And I think it's, unlikely that the town board of a different town, would put through charges and fire someone under New York State Civil Service Law for something that had no basis in fact. So, I would certainly, be happy to hear more from Supervisor Frazier on this. I'd be happy to hear, more from the members of the town board or anyone else that has, any more information about this matter, because these are, there's some serious accusations.
Well, I'm gonna say that that's unrelated to town of Unionville business. So you can have a seat. You can have
It
a
is
seat.
related
You can
in
have a
that
seat
it
now,
affects
sir.
the qualifications of town officers.
You can have a seat, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Name and address, please.
My name is Lee Moore, I bear the grade of New York, 2540. I read the article in the newspaper about Steve Frazier, and it appears to me that Betsy Moss is again trying to discredit and promote possible lies and untruths about someone in our town who has voted against having a library in our town. She has done this time and time again to me and to some of my friends who have campaigned against the library and against her holding office. Yes, Steve did get dismissed because of the accusations against him. However, I am somewhat dubious about the validity of the accusation for many reasons, including: one, Steve has worked his job in Wappingers for almost 10 or more years without any complaints against him until in 2023 and 2024. Why are these complaints showing up now and not 6 or 7 years ago? Is it because it is a campaign year and Betsy is still pulling the strings? Two, how many complainants are there, and why are the complainants or witnesses not named so that their veracity and character could be investigated? Three, a number of our town employees have told me that they are very happy with Steve's leadership style and enjoy having him as our town supervisor, which is a sharp contrast to what I heard from town employees about Bessie Moss's leadership style. Four, I am very impressed and thankful to have Steve as our town supervisor because he has shown the transparency he promised, is working hard with the town board to take care of the town's infrastructure, has been responsive to our residents, has shown patience and restraint as he moderated some very intensive and difficult town board sessions. Five, I also know from personal experience that quite often people don't get accurate information or the full picture from newspapers who are in the business of selling their product. Newspapers tend to sensationalize a situation to get attention and to sell more papers.
Thank you.
I have one more paragraph. This happened to me 30 years ago when I was a varsity girls basketball coach at Arlington High School. And a student accused me of assault when I prevented a fight by keeping her from entering the room by blocking the doorway. This complaint and false accusation was featured on the front page of the neighborhood newspaper with my photo. Then the story continued for another entire page. And as time progressed, numerous false stories continued to be featured in the paper. When I was exonerated months later by the New York State Commissioner of Education, do you know what the exoneration report was? Where it was in the paper? On page 6. It only covered about a quarter of the page, if that much. Steve has done a good job as supervisor for our town, and I hope he will be able to continue in that position. Here's a picture on the front page of me. Here is the article that was continued for a full page in the newspaper. Here is the little column that exonerated me. Please remember that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, I understand the 99 Wolf Road. Usually they'll take minutes to my to see there. So I had recently heard about that article, too. I didn't read the article, but I would say this. I'd say that, I've observed, I've only been volunteering here since November, and all I've observed is a lot of patience on the part of our supervisor. Patience when people are calling them out, calling them liars, calling whatever else. When you sit there patient, even if you go back to the December budget vote, Brady did get angry. He knew it was wrong, he didn't get angry, he asked for a vote from the board. And he accepted the vote of the board without getting angry. So I never seen the man get angry. Honestly, I don't know why he didn't even stay in this job. If we want picking that we do in this sneaky little community, we pick apart a person who dedicates himself. Go by here any day of the week, and you'll see his vehicle out here. So he's almost working for free. Okay, and he's doing an awesome job. And the other thing I'll say is this: I happen to be Steve's neighbor. We're not close friends, but we're neighbors. And when I first moved into the neighborhood 25 years ago, Steve invited me and his family invited me to a pig roast that they had, because Steve had a company at the time, they had a lot of customers coming and friends coming. They invited me to invite me into the neighborhood. And you know what they had there? They had a bunch of singing at there. And there was a lot of people of different races there. So someone accusing Steve of racism? Absolutely not. I've never heard the man say anything racist. I've never heard the man get angry or be mean about something. I think he's determined, and I think that's a good characteristic. But I think we need to stop this nonsense in this town of fighting and picking apart people who are basically volunteering to run the town.
Thank you said, anyone else?
Just something I missed before, just back around the 11 store, you hired a meeting called for $22 an hour. With salaries and schedule to start at 22.45. I'm not sure if that was in statement.
That those 2245 is the people that have had tenure, which is a fresh start.
Thank you.
Anyone else? What's the name and address, please?
Yes, you're married 3536 Wayne the road, Brooklyn, New York, 12570. It's been a long evening, and I'd like to commend the town of Union Valley's board tonight for its dedication to responsible governance, fiscal accountability, and upholding the will of the people. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Hi guys, Kate Cyberland. I think you already know one of the words, it's in this thing, but first of all, I just want to say to Edna, I feel, my heart just goes out to you and the family, you know, all the service that you guys put into this town for many years, and it's heartbreaking. We saw your son the other day, and that was really tough to see. And I didn't have big shoes to fill, and I took on the position. Also, John, I promised happy birthday to you, and miss that, and then whole, and this, who also was a public servant. With that said, I also chose to be a public servant for the town that I've been doing for quite some time. I've raised both of my kids here, and my mother I still have here, my father, dearly missed, and love Steve to pieces. My dad taught Steve many things and shared stories. He hung out his shop. Steve, you're a great person. So reading that article, it's total disgusting, and it was a political slander, and I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I really hope the person that wrote that will see the consequences, because that's not okay, and that's not welcome in this small town. For the amount of years I've been here, I've never seen so much ugliness, and I've been serving in this town for probably about 13 years, starting with grievance board, on planning board, you know, in my 8th year.
And I'm blessed to be able to be the tax collector, not a lot of money, but let me tell you, I enjoy it, I enjoy seeing. This is more my field hockey coach back in high school, I did not know that story, and I am so heartbroken for you. Mrs. Tillman with my earth science teacher, still in our town. I go on and on with all the residents that I've known here for a bazillion years, but Steve, my heart hurts for seeing that in that paper. And anybody that wants to talk to me outside of here, I'm more than welcome, I'm here now till June, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody, I know these streets pretty well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, happy spring tomorrow.
Anyone else? Okay,
We have to. Move
Oh, yeah.
oh, I skipped over it, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 19th minutes.
on. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Apologize for missing that. Motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
All in favor on that?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Our next meeting will be here.
Oh, we need a resolution. To have.
That's right. That's right. We did discuss a, upcoming litigation, issue. And, I'd like to have a motion from the board to use our town attorney to, enter into that litigation.
All right, I'll make a motion that we use our town attorney as our litigation leader.
I'll second.
I'll just clarify that. The motion would be to have me defend the town in Article 70, the following, on my basis.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Like I said, the next meeting will be, here at April 2nd at 7:30. Motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.